It's been pretty much bang on 2 years since Huawei finally launched the flagship smartphone that showed it could easily cut it amongst the Apples and the Samsungs of the world. I'm of course talking about this sexy slab of tech right here, the Huawei P20 Pro. This was my favourite mobile of 2018, and even after all of this time, the Huawei P20 Pro is still a great all-round device, even if it has been superseded by the P30 Pro and soon by the P40 Pro as well. And you can find some really solid deals on the P20 Pro these days as well, which makes it well worth considering. So here's everything you need to know about owning the P20 Pro in 2020, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers. Now, design-wise, there is certainly no problem here. Huawei's handset has aged incredibly well. It is basically the Keanu Reeves of the smartphone world. You absolutely know you would. Now, admittedly, my personal P20 Pro hasn't been out in the wild too much recently, but it's certainly seen a fair bit of action over the last 24 months, and it's still looking remarkably fresh. At least it is once you give it a serious arse polishing to get rid of all of those greasy fingerprints. And once that muck has been wiped clean, you've got to love that shiny, colourful finish. It's still bright and beautiful through and through. I'm definitely glad that I left that pre-installed screen protector on because it is absolutely coated in scratches and scuffs, but thankfully the display underneath is perfectly pristine. And these days, the P20 Pro actually feels remarkably compact with its 6.1-inch screen. It is still pretty comfortable to use one-handed. And that's despite the pretty chunky lower bezel as well, which houses the now incredibly rare front face and physical fingerprint sensor. These things have basically been replaced with in-display fingerprint sensors these days, but I still prefer a physical scanner because they're a bit more responsive when your digits are a bit moist. And of course, Huawei's excellent face recognition tech means that you can even get stuck into your smartphone if you're wearing gloves. And 2 years on, Huawei is still fully supporting the P20 Pro as far as those software patches are concerned, as you would kind of hope and expect for a flagship device. So last year it was updated to EMUI 9 and Android Pie, and hopefully should be getting that Android 10 support soon as well, and those security patches are still ticking through in a nicely timely fashion. The P20 Pro is scheduled to get Android 10 and the latest EMUI 10 as well at the start of 2020, bringing slick new features like the dark mode and greater customization. Of course, I wouldn't expect many more software updates beyond the odd security patch and things like that, as most manufacturers tend to support their handsets for around 2 years or so. But good news is that the hardware here on the P20 Pro has certainly aged very well indeed. For example, that 6.1-inch Full HD OLED screen is still bright, sharp and punchy, perfect for enjoying some shows on the go. And yeah, that mustache notch is annoyingly chunky when you go full screen in the likes of YouTube, but it's certainly no iPhone style intrusion. You get plenty of storage space for downloading the likes of Netflix shows and movies, 128 gigs in all, although sadly there is no micro SD memory card support if you do happen to run out. And also annoyingly, there's no headphone jack on this thing as well, although touch wood, thankfully I've had absolutely no issues when connecting Bluetooth headphones. Battery life is also still pretty solid after these past 2 years of use. I don't get close to the 2 full days per charge like I used to in 2018, but the P20 Pro will easily make it through a full day of constant use in that screen is rarely switched off. I know you don't get any wireless charging support like you do on more recent Huawei flagship phones, but plug in a bit of Type-C action and the Huawei P20 Pro still charges up in a pretty nippy fashion. On the performance front, the P20 Pro is sadly starting to show its age a bit. That Kirin 970 chipset may be backed by 6 gigs of RAM, but I do still see the occasional little stammer and stutter these days. It's far from severe, of course, and the Huawei P20 Pro will definitely still do everything that you need it to, but it's not as nippy as, of course, more modern flagships as you would expect. And of course, it's lacking some of those slicker features like the 90Hz refresh rate that you'll get on the likes of the OnePlus 7T. No worries as far as gaming goes though, the likes of PubG Mobile still plays with a smooth enough frame rate on those high detail levels, helped along by the likes of the GPU turbo action, so you'll still stand a decent chance against all of the competition. As for that camera tech, well, that really has aged very well indeed, just like a fine cheese or Jeff Goldblum. Now remember, this was one of the very first smartphones to serve up a proper telephoto lens, and what a lens it still is, offering a 3x optical or 5x hybrid zoom that still produces stunning results from a distance. In fact, the P20 Pro beats many flagships for 2019 for its telephoto chops. And sure, you don't get an ultra-wide angle lens here on the P20 Pro, which you do on the more recent Huawei flagships, and it is a bit of a miss at times, but you still can't fault the everyday shots you get from that 40 megapixel primary lens and the 20 megapixel monochrome snapper. Even 2 years on, the photos you get from this thing hold up really well indeed. The P20 Pro deals with tricky contrast, no worries, while the portrait mode continues to churn out great looking photos with impressive bokeh. And thankfully, the super vibrant colours produced by the AI scene recognition appear to have been tempered over time, so now they're not nearly as puke-inducing as they used to be. This was also one of the very first smartphones boasting a decent night mode, so you will get crisp, bright, balanced shots even when snapping away in near darkness. But sadly, the P20 Pro admittedly still can't quite cut it for video. That stabilization is poor at best, and rival handsets offer much better looking results, although it is still absolutely fine for just shooting a standard home movie. And that in a nutshell is everything you need to know about how the Huawei P20 Pro holds up in 2020. If you see a great deal on it for £300 or less, I'd say definitely jump on in. It's still a fantastic handset, that camera tech is great, performance is absolutely fine, battery life rocks, and the overall UI experience is still top notch as well. So if you want to save yourself a bit of cash over the likes of the P30 Pro and of course the upcoming P40 Pro, then definitely go for it. So are you a proud P20 Pro owner? Definitely be great to hear your own personal thoughts down in the comments below. And please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers everyone, love you!